Perfect.
Cool. So again, Lori, thanks for coming on and being an interviewee today.
You bet.
Zoe and I are excited to talk to you, and whoever ends up jumping on the call. See, we got Kellen on here. What's up, Kellen? Whoever ends up jumping on the call will obviously ask some questions at the
Sure.
end, possibly. But what we'll do is we'll talk to you, we'll record it, and then we'll post it in the group so everyone can see it and potentially pull a few gold nuggets from you. How's that sound?
Wonderful.
All right, cool. So I know a little bit about you because you and I have met, but maybe you can just fill in the gaps for everybody who doesn't know you.
You bet.
And just kind of let us know how you got started in real estate, being a realtor, what your year was like last year, kind of stuff like that, and we'll kind of go from there.
You bet. I got my real estate license 7 years ago. Prior to that, I was a residential and commercial loan officer with First Bank for about 20 years. And I took some time off in between. And when it was time to go back to work, my thought process was, what did I like about my previous career? And how can I put that into a simple transfer of trust? And real estate was a simple answer for me. I liked lending and residential lending and working with clients, and I have my MBA, and so a lot of that junk that was on the test was stuff I already knew. And then you get to forget all the dumb stuff. But I had some really great mentors when I first started. You know how they say you ride on the shoulders of giants. Well, Renee Sevier is one of those giants. I utilize the Brian Buffini system as well. So he's another giant. And then I've got great lenders as well that assist me and make me look good. So last year and the year before were kind of unique years for me in that I lost my husband to a job-related cancer. He was a firefighter at the end of 2019. So from, thank you, from about October of 2019 till about February of 2020, I was kind of in caretaker mode and then recovery mode. And so then I felt like I looked like the road runner, run and get my feet going just to stop with COVID. But I still had a great year last year. Wasn't my best year. 2019 actually was, but with real estate being kind of a lagging industry, not having done work for 5 months did slow me down in 2020, but I still did about 13 million in those months. And then kind of took off November and December so that I could be available for my kids and my family to celebrate that 1 year mark as well. So I'm ready for 2021 to kind of be back to what my goals are, which my goals would be to hit about, I would say, I think what I've got down is 20 million for this year. So
nice.
We'll see. Yeah.
Nice. Love it. Love it. So, so you said 13 million last year, 20 million this year. What does that generally equate to in terms of units? Just because.
The 20 million for me should be close to about 34 units.
Okay.
My previous best year was 28. So it's not a big jump, but I've worked really hard in increasing my average per transaction price point.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
And that's one thing that the referral maker within the Buffini system allows you to track. So you keep track of your calls, your notes, your pop-bys, your closings. And so it can tell you exactly how many calls you need to make each week, notes you need to write, meetings you need to have in order to turn those calls into referrals and those referrals into closings, given what your previous 12-month average price point was. I love numbers, and so having that data available to digest and use is really important to me.
So I have a series of questions for you, Lori.
Okay.
First off, I love your story. And
thank you.
Sorry to hear about, you said that your husband actually passed in 2019?
He did, December 16th of 2019. He was
Okay.
operations chief for South Metro Fire.
Gotcha. So our condolences to you on that. That's something I kind of want to camp on a little bit with
Sure.
you, is to ask how you were able to work with that tragedy taking place, and how, I guess the other thought too is this: I'm all over the place, so bear with me, because I'm familiar with Buffini as well. I've done some Buffini a few years ago, actually that same year that you're referencing, and I'm aware that they do the mentorship. They have a mentor that they can put you on. So my question to you is, did you have a mentor through that program? And if so, if not, how did those relationships help you kind of navigate through still sticking with your goals, working through all that in the midst of something that's unfortunate that happened to you?
Sure. When I first got my license, I said, once I've been in business a year, I'm going to get into coaching. So I don't have a mentor within Buffini. I'm actually a certified mentor with them, and I teach some classes through them. So I do have a coach. So every 2 weeks, we have a half-hour call. She asks the tough questions and holds me accountable. But between having her as a coach, having great fellow agents that I work with, but I also have an incredible transaction coordinator and a licensed assistant who, one, make me look good, and two, allow me to have those lofty goals and help me be a type A personality where I feel I need to make sure I get the right number of calls done. And if I don't have check marks in all my boxes, I stay up late so that I can. And by having, like I said, my licensed assistant, she was able to run with my business while I was down. And my clients obviously understood and were aware of where I was at in my journey. And they were all very gracious. And Betsy, my assistant, was just phenomenal in order to allow me to keep on track, even though I wasn't the one working my business. And my husband was up and running, for lack of a better word, up until 3 days before he passed. He had a goal of seeing my daughter graduate from the police academy and graduate from college. College was on a Friday and he passed on Monday. So he just willed himself to be there for that. And so although I was in caregiver mode, we were here at the house. And so I could still, up until that point, be making calls and checking in and doing searches to stay connected. But then it was kind of like a quick off switch, and she took off running.
Gotcha.
And I truly think making her vested in my success as part of our pay structure makes a big difference, because I think most of us in the industry are very motivated financially. And so to do so, that was one way that I found easily to help make both of us successful.
Gotcha.
So it's really, really cool. The process of Buffini, and I definitely recommend anybody who wants to check it out. It's a great program, great coaching program. But one more question for you on that, Lori. Can you talk a little about how that helps your organization for your business, and why that piece of it is so important? Just specifically the organization of being involved with a company like that.
You bet.
And the coaching that you get to do and you get to be under.
Yes. Like I said, the best thing for me is to have a list, and the last thing to do is to cross it off and start a new list. And so the system within Buffini allows you to have that week planned out as far as the things you need to accomplish. And if you accomplish those things in the morning, then you've got your afternoon to work on the other aspects of your business. And sometimes it doesn't get done till at night, and then people are home and you can reach them easier. But one of the key factors, I think, not just within coaching, but within being a certified mentor, is to teach it, you got to learn it and you have to know it. And so sometimes going through that process allows you to hone your skills as well. For example, right now, we're going through the second part of a 3-part teaching series called Pathway to Mastery. There's essentials, there's advanced, and then they'll roll out probably in 18 months, the third and final piece of that. But in May, I'll be teaching a completely revamped program that they have called 100 Days to Greatness. And originally when it was created, it was for a brand new agent in their first 100 days of being in the business. But anymore, so many people got into it and were kind of thrown in and just went. And so it might have some kind of preliminary aspects that people might think, oh, I'm more experienced than that. But if you don't have the procedures in place, we all know that it's easy to let things fall to the wayside. So the 100 Days to Greatness helps you get those procedures and the promptings and having those boxes to check off in those 100 days to ensure that you'll have 3 listings by the time it's over, which we all know we need listings badly.
Sure. Can you go into detail, Lori, on or give us an example of what your day looks like and what those specific activities you would need to get done by the end of the night are?
You bet. So in order for me to meet those goals that I've got set up, I need to do 5 calls a day, and you rank your database from A+, which is people who have and will continuously refer me, A's, people who have, but I could continue to encourage them to do more. B's would be people who would refer me if I taught them how. C's are people you hope to turn into B's and work their way up. And D's is meant to be for people who are probably on their way out, but I use D's for my business-to-business partners like you guys. So when I host a business mixer, I can reach out to you and say, hey, do you want to come to the mixer? I'll have an auto broker and an insurance agent and a Mary Kay gal, you know, all these different types of things where like-minded people can meet each other.
Did you say I'm a D?
Well, that's only because you're a business to business. You're not a delete. And so I know I need to make 5 calls every day. I need to write 10 notes a week. And it's a lost art. And it's really just a matter of either, hey, Jay, it was great to talk to you. I look forward to, although I'm petrified for our FaceTime Live.
You're crushing it.
Well, thank you. It could be, hey, I read about your promotion on LinkedIn. Congratulations.
Sure.
But taking the time to write a handwritten note means a lot to people, and they're very less likely to throw away a handwritten note, especially once they are trained and accustomed to getting them from you.
I have a question regarding the handwritten notes. For someone who is a little bit skeptical and says, you know, I've heard now from several people or several, you know, gurus that, you know, writing handwritten notes is a smart thing to do for the reasons you just said. What would you say to that person who's like, you know, if everyone's doing it, it's not that original anymore? You know, is it really that effective, or does it more so seem cliche? What would you say to someone who thinks that?
I would say everybody says they want to do it, but not everybody's doing it.
Okay.
And the number of times that somebody will snapshot their note to me and say, thanks so much. You made my day. It was great to hear from you. Yeah. Or they'll post it on Facebook. My realtor actually wrote me a note, you know. It feels really good, because kind of like that old adage of smile at somebody because it might be the only smile they get today. A handwritten note kind of has that same effect. So I don't think, if somebody truly is skeptical, I would say try it for 90 days, write 50 notes each month. And if you don't see some type of payback. And sometimes that payback is just a call, or somebody shared the extra business card that you stuck in there with them. Then stop. But I tend to think you'd see that pay off very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to buttress your point on that, I totally agree. And I even think that even if it was getting to where everyone was doing that, like everyone actually was writing, that many notes, and everyone was
Right.
kind of used to it, it became this like normal thing, I still think it would work. And the
Yeah.
reason is because I do it. And the other day I got one from an agent and I still felt awesome.
Yes.
Even though I know what she's doing, I know the strategy,
Mhm.
and I do it too. But I got one from her and I still felt incredible and was super thankful for it. So it still works even if everyone does it. It's just a kind, genuine thing to do. And even if everyone's doing it, even if everyone's doing it, it's still effective, I think.
Well, and since we know time is our most valuable asset, when you're taking the time to do it, people appreciate that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, Lori, talk to the early version of yourself, and what kind of advice would you give the early version of you, brand new to the business? You're trying to figure out where to get a network to start doing these tasks for. You don't feel like you know that very many people, and you're just, you feel like you're kind of like a deer, looking at headlights, just kind of, what do I do? Give some advice to some newbies out there and the brand new realtor or loan officer that just trying to figure out how to start generating these leads organically.
You bet. First, I would say affiliate yourself with other professionals. So get some great lenders in your corner that if they've given you a pre-qual letter, you're good. Find a great inspector. Find a great TC and great title company reps. That's, I think, one of the first steps you do as far as getting your team kind of established. And then it's a matter of honing down that Christmas card list, which not everybody has still, but take that Christmas card and send a letter saying, hey, I got some great news. I'm excited. I've gotten my real estate license and I'm here to serve you. And right now I'm not overly busy, so I have plenty of time to dedicate just to you. Then follow up. Hey, did you get that call, or did you get my letter? And use it to deepen your database information. Hey, are you still working at Lockheed Martin? Oh, no, you're not. So then you're updating that. How are the kids? Oh my gosh, they're that old, and you're updating it, because you really want to make sure when you do end up calling that person or writing them that letter, handwritten note, that you know what's going on with them, and it truly is a sincere comment and inquiry and best wishes, versus stuff that you had from 7 years ago that could be very outdated.
Right.
I would then say find a knowledgeable and genuine agent in your office that you can shadow. And if it means you're their gopher for a while, pay your dues. It's unlike any other, or it's not unlike any other industry where you need to have some sweat, have some tears, and put the work in order to garner experience out of it. It's hard in a day like today when COVID says 3 people, the agent and the 2 buyers, so you might not be able to be along with them. But if they have the time and you could set up a preview and you act like you're the buyer and they're the buyer's agent, then you hear how they're walking clients through and what they're doing, and you can tweak it to make it your own without having to recreate the wheel. And depending on the company you're with, if you're not at a brokerage that has people that'll help you, give me a buzz and I'll help you at EXP.
Awesome.
Because it takes being surrounded by like-minded people that are willing to share and that understand that more professionalism within our industry doesn't hurt anybody. It only helps us.
Yeah.
And we don't have
like what you said about, you kind of touched on the personal touch, and within what you do, checking in on how are the kids, asking like that personal question of, just giving people the feeling that, hey, I'm not just interested in your business, but I'm actually interested in you. I actually care about you. There's that saying that people don't care about what you know unless they know that you care.
Right.
So talk about that piece for a little bit. What kind of tips can you give to the authenticity of coming across to people like, hey, I'm actually somebody that cares. I want to establish a relationship with you because, person to person, I just want to show that I care about you. And what I'm trying to bring you is service. Like I'm trying to actually serve you. So talk about that a little bit.
You bet. I don't necessarily think it's something you can teach. Either as a person, you are authentic or you're not. And the difference between the two is an inauthentic person will make each deal about the transaction, whereas an authentic person will make it about the relationship. So whether or not we find you a deal, I care about you. And maybe 3 years down the road is when it happens for you. And I just want you to be successful and happy. And if I can be the one that facilitates it, all the better. But if our business is based on relationships, then we need to make our relationship or our business about building those. Because if we've taken our Christmas card list and that's now our database, I assume they're people that you already have a basis of a relationship with, so that either you're deepening that or you're solidifying it with them, that if they put their name to you and refer you out, they know that you're going to care for someone that they care about just as much as you care for them. And then that key is to do exactly that. So under promise, over deliver, and be consistent, because in our industry, whether that be from the lending standpoint or the agent standpoint, there tends to be a lot of really poor communicators. And if we can up that game and make sure that people know they're going to hear from us, especially if I say I'm going to call you at 2, I'm calling you at 2. And we as an industry, I think, need to start working on our timeliness as far as showing up on time. Yeah. If you're supposed to be there at 3, you need to be there at 10 to 3.
Amen. Preach.
That's also my dad talking in the back of my head. So, but I truly think that your true self is going to come out, kind of like they say, adversity will reveal the trueness of you. So either you're going to come out stronger or you're going to crumble. And if you can focus on how can I come out stronger, or how can I make sure people know how much I care, that will come through. And it could just be a muscle that needs flexed and exercised in order for that to truly come across. But I think, again, those calls to check on people and those notes help establish that.
Yeah. Hey, Lori, how many people are in your database right now?
I think when I checked on Monday, I had 438. I don't need a big, wide river. I need a great river that's deep, because then they're the ones who add to my business. And I think the important part is to make sure people understand that I do business by referral. Yes, I've got a couple of bus benches and I support the baseball team and I support the foundation that the union has for the fire department, but I am not going to buy Zillow leads. I am not going to do commercials, things like that, because it's so much better for me to pour into my current database to help them tell my story.
Gotcha.
I'd rather have less great people than a lot of
Yeah.
Gotcha. I hope I'm not a I mean, I'm already a D, so maybe
come on,
next
you
week
gotta
I'll
work
be
on that.
No, I'm just kidding. So 438. So that's about 1.75 people per business day, right? So that's definitely feels doable to
Yeah.
keep in touch with people once a year, but something tells me you're keeping in touch with them more often than that.
Yeah.
And then as you close more transactions and get new referrals of people who,
Hmm.
from people in your database to people who aren't,
Right.
and so you expand your database, how do you keep up with the growth, and how often do you keep in touch with these people, especially as it's growing?
You bet. So as I talked about sorting your database into A plus, A's and B's, you spend more time and energy with your A pluses, and then a little less with your A's, and then
Okay.
it trickles down. Although some of my D's are also my clients. So like I can contact them more often than I would maybe a normal D because they've bought and sold with me.
Gotcha.
And so I would probably say it's 4-to-1 as far as my time with an A plus than maybe with a B.
Okay.
And at a minimum, I would really like to be in contact with everybody once a quarter. Probably realistic that it's more like once every 6 months.
Okay.
There is a great program. I started with Keller. They're a great organization. And they had a great training class, Never Ending Referrals, and it broke down the letters of the alphabet into national percentages. Like typically, A, there's people whose last name starts with A, and they paired it with W. So in 1 week, you would contact everybody whose last name started with A or W. And then the next week is B's and E's, so that on average, you're typically calling the same percentage of your database every week. So that way, if you're not hitting those C's in your database or maybe those D's, this is a way in which you would do so if you followed that. So without giving the whole course away, maybe you could Google what percentage of Americans' last names begin with each letter of the alphabet, and you could assign it to your own database and set it out. I'm old school in that I live by my Google Calendar, but I have a desk calendar, and then I also have one on the wall so I can see trips and marketing plans and things like that. But I would just write down on Sunday what those letters are that I'm going to call. And again, you got to check it off before business is closed on Friday and you're crazy doing showings all weekend. It's done, and you've contacted all of those folks in your database.
Interesting. I want to take it somewhere else for a second.
Okay.
So with 40,000, 50,000 agents, or in Colorado, or is it in the Denver metro? There's a lot of agents out there, right? And everybody on paper is licensed to do the same thing.
Right.
So how do you differentiate yourself, or do you even have to differentiate yourself? Is it even about that? When there's so many people trying to do the same thing, vying for the same customers, and you guys, and us too, me and Zoe too, there's lots of lenders out there.
Sure.
How do we differentiate ourselves, or is that not even the mindset you're supposed to have?
I think that's going to be individual to everybody. I think one of the things to keep in mind is, what is your mission? My mission is to make sure that people know that I've got commitment and character, and I've got professionalism and a passion for what I do, and that excellence is my minimum standard. So that's kind of me under promising. So to over deliver, I need to make sure I'm doing things that are unexpected. And sometimes that unexpected might be showing up at work when I know they just got a promotion with maybe some flowers, because then the next thing they're going to say is, my agent brought me flowers. Did yours? I've even closed a transaction with them. They just send me great information every month. But if I ever going to use somebody, it's going to be her. Do you need her number? So I think being true to what your mission is. So first of all, you got to have it, and being true to your numbers. Like I said, I'm a numbers girl. I love to analyze it. I look at license plates and try to come up with what I think it would stand for in my mind. But being true to both of those things, your mission and your numbers, can drive your activity. And as long as the activity you're doing resonates with your heart, then it should work out. Because you don't want to just go after a transaction. Yes, when you're hungry, that might be what you do, but you then need to still make sure you're carving out time to do the important part, not just the tasks.
Yeah.
I love that. No, that made sense. I love that it's possible for you to get a referral from somebody who hasn't even closed a deal with you. But because of the way that you're engaging in that relationship, showing them that you care, that example of bringing flowers to work or promotion, like that's so cool. And then, for that to be the response that's the ultimate compliment back to you, is them sending you business when they haven't even closed a deal with you.
Yeah.
So really great stuff. So talk a little bit about moving forward. What's next for you? What's your goals for 2021 and beyond? What's kind of in what you foresee your future looking like as far as your goals?
I want to continue to teach at least 3 classes a year through Buffini. So I might end up doing Pathway to Mastery Essentials again in the fall. And you have to take Essentials before you can take Advanced. And so the folks in my Advanced, I have one of my local lenders. I have another agent here locally. And then I have some agents across the nation that took Essentials with other instructors, but that wanted a different point of view. And so my coach connected them with me. And I love that because you can learn what's going on in different parts of the country. And, oh, how are you guys handling escalation clauses? Or what's common for post-closing occupancy terms, things like that. So my goal would be, like I said, to do 3 classes each year. I'm finishing and getting my GRI, the Graduate of the Real Estate Institute, which sounded like a great idea at the beginning of COVID. And then you get busy and you stop, and now you've got 45 days to finish 5 more classes of 4 hours each. So urban late at night, getting drank as I finish. But, so to teach those, to finish that, because to me, giving back and helping newer agents is a great way, like I said, to elevate the industry. I am a realtor and I believe in the additional code of ethics that we're bound by. I like that. I think it helps us stand apart, but again, we've got to follow them. Just being one doesn't make you a good one. And so I think as we hold each other accountable, that's important too. But
gotcha. What percentage of realtors and loan officers will, let me backtrack. There's so much information out there about what we're supposed to do,
right,
to generate the kind of business we want, to generate the leads we want, to grow our business to where we want it to go. We live in 2021 where almost the answer to almost every question is just a Google search away, or the answer to how to grow your real estate business, whether you're a loan officer or a realtor, is one short book read away, right? Or it's just already in your head. You already know how. So what percentage of people, with all that information that's out there, easy for all of us to attain and grab, what percentage of us is actually going to do it in your mind?
I'm going to say 1%.
1%.
And that truly is just a swag, but wanting to do it is going to be 90% of us, but doing it is a lot smaller. And there are going to be successful agents that don't do it. Maybe they've been in the industry forever and they've got a big database or a big team, and now the team just kind of runs with very little grease. Sorry, that was my puppy. But I think it takes a lifelong commitment to learning and serving and doing those things that allows it to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm looking at my bookshelves and I have a lot of books that I've purchased that I still need to read. But I also, when I find one I like, I buy 20 of them to give to people who come to my business mixer. So right now, the one that I'm hot on is Green Lights, that was written by Matthew McConaughey. And it has a lot of sales in it, believe it or not. So that's a great book. And I get a lot of those books from the podcast that Brian Buffini does. They come out every Tuesday. One that really hit home with me was Never Split the Difference, and it's about negotiations. Yep. And loved that one. But like I'm seeing Shift, and that was written by Gary Keller. That was a great book. Never Wrestle with a Pig. That's an old one, but it's good. And just different things to motivate you. And you might not apply everything that you read. Maybe you got 3 nuggets, and as a realtor, 3 as in 3% is easy to remember. So if you can always get 3 things out of anything you read, that's awesome.
Gotcha.
And maybe it's just something that you say, okay, within this year, I'm going to make sure I do that. So like one goal that I didn't say, Zoe, is, and it's Betsy who challenged me with it, is I'm going to actively work an agent adoption program. Like, oh, you're getting out of the business? I would sure love to take over your database, and anything in the next 3 years that close from them, I would love to pay you a 30% referral fee. So I need you to send out a letter to introduce me. I'll then follow up with a letter, and then I'll incorporate them into my database. But I want to make sure that your clients get served the way that my clients are used to being served. Because let's face it, people think, oh, I'm going to be a realtor, it's easy money. And then it's actually costs a lot of money and it's a lot of work. And it doesn't work for everybody. And so if you can help them graciously bow out, that's a win right there.
Gotcha. That's huge. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. That's I wanted to get into kind of some of the conceptual stuff, the kind of bigger picture, industry stuff with as many people that are doing this and all the realtors and loan officers that are out there, just trying to figure out, how to, which ones actually move the needle and why. So we're probably going to wrap up now, but last question I had for you, just to kind of wrap it up, and then we'll take some questions if we have any, is where are you trying to go and what are the big picture goals? And then how do you see yourself scaling to that?
Big picture goals would be to maybe bring on an agent or 2 into a team setting. Right now, the way that I have my business structured is buyers at a certain level, that price point or lower, are handled by my assistant. And I do all the listings, and then the buyers over a certain level. So maybe I get to a point where maybe that price point is a little higher. And so there could be multiple assistants or agents handling that. My goal, apparently somebody is near my front door because my dogs are barking. I apologize.
That's fine.
What I would love is that she gets so successful, she can't be my assistant anymore. I'm sorry. Because I want her to be sprinting, right? Versus maybe jogging because of what I'm giving her. I want her to go, yes, sorry, Lori, gotta go. Nothing would make my heart feel better than that. Yeah. And I guess as I answer that, if we're not learning, we're falling behind.
Sure.
And And that takes hours in the day, which right now with rates and with inventory, we don't have, but you got to make time for it. Just like you got to make time, spend time in the Word. You got to make time to go to church, to worship, to do all these important things, to pour back into your family. Well, you've got to make time to be growing also.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Love it. Love it. Well, let's wrap it up. Thanks you so much, Lori, for the gold nuggets. There's a lot of it in there. I took a lot of notes. Appreciate your insight and your wisdom. Is there any, for anyone who's on the phone, is there on the Zoom call, is there any questions we have for Lori before we let her go? Just unmute yourself and pop on. Seems like you answered everyone's questions before they knew they had them, Lori.
Perfect. Well, you tagged me in it, so if something comes up, people can always DM me or whatever.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then everyone can always post in the Facebook group as well. So yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Jay said. Lori, I really enjoyed hearing your story and your golden nuggets today, and definitely wish you the best. I know the future's bright for you because it's very clear how you're doing things. It's just inevitable that those your aspirations and everything are going to continue for you. So yeah,
Thank you.
wish you the best, and thanks again for your time today.
You bet. Thank you guys. And it's awesome to be associated with quality people like you guys as well.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate that. Great. Well, have a great day, Lori.
Thank
everyone
you,
on the
you
call,
too.
have a great day, and we'll see everyone again hopefully next week, and we'll do this again.
All right. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.